I am Dr. Ann Brill, Dean of the William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications here at the University of Kansas, and I'm honored to welcome you this afternoon to our annual awards and scholarship ceremony. Just as an aside, this is my favorite event of the year. Today, awards will be given to 21 students for their work in newspaper, broadcast, magazines, multimedia, advertising, and public relations. Scholarships will be presented to more than 100 students today, with a few additional scholarships and awards announced at a later date. We are also being streamed live on the internet. No, don't pull up your phones and start looking, but we are live on the internet. And I am pleased that so many of our donors, current and future students, and family members and friends could be here. Welcome. This year we are thrilled to be giving away scholarships that will be awarded for the first time, including the Ralph and Martha Gage Scholarship, established as a gift from Dolph Simons Jr. to honor the Gages for their many contributions to journalism and the community. The John and Susie Holt Scholarship, established by longtime Kansas City anchor John Holt to support broadcast students, especially any interested in pursuing a law degree. The Dolores A. Newell Scholarship is from Kevin Newell to honor his mother. Kevin is an alumnus and a longtime executive at McDonald's Corporation in Chicago. The Barbara Roshevitz and Jerry Seib Award Barbara Roshevitz and Jerry Seib created the Student Opportunity and Scholarship Fund to support students and their beyond the classroom experiences. Both Jerry and Barbara are journalism alumni and former Kansan editors. Jerry is the bureau chief in Washington, D.C. for the Wall Street Journal, and Barbara is a director with the Pew Charitable Trust. And I also want to acknowledge some special awards that we are giving this year. The Kansas Life Special Projects Team is a group of 6 student journalists working in collaboration with the Lawrence Journal World to develop and produce multimedia investigative stories important to every Kansan citizen. Funding for the project was provided by the Clay Blair Family Foundation, which supports educational opportunities throughout Kansan, and representing the Clay Blair Family Foundation is Crosby Domenical. So welcome donors, welcome students. Thank you for all the families and friends who established these and all of our awards and scholarships. And at this point, I'd like to ask all the donors in the audience to stand and be acknowledged. Donors, please let us celebrate you. And I would also like to thank the members of our scholarship committee, Barbara Barnett, Associate Dean and Chair of the Scholarship Committee, Professors Suzanne Shaw and Jerry Crawford, our Career Center Coordinator Patty Nolan, and Kelly Nichols, Assistant Dean of Student Services. Thank you so much for this important service. All told, students will receive awards and scholarships that total close to $400,000 in private money. That means dollars provided by private citizens or companies that want to help educate and honor journalism students. I hope each of our award and scholarship recipients remembers to thank the people or companies that have been so generous to them. In fact, we do have note cards available, and we'll even help you mail them, students, so no excuses for not saying. Come to the dean's office, pick up one of these cards, write a heartfelt thank you to the donor. Don't forget, we will remind you. As I meet with donors, particularly those giving scholarships and awards to students, I hear a common theme of wanting to give back. Our donors tell me how others helped them get through school, of their struggles to pay bills when they were students, and how the degree from the School of Journalism and Mass Communications contributed to their success in careers and their lives. They give because they are grateful, as am I. And I'm also grateful to you students for showing me and all of my colleagues every day that there is a bright future ahead of us. You students are incredibly talented, intelligent, and just good people. The faculty and staff of the J School are so proud of you and honored to be part of helping you become journalists and good citizens. You give us a lot to look forward to, and we're honored that we are part of your journey. I also am proud that our journalism students are getting jobs. According to the most recent national data that we have, KU journalism students had an 84% job placement rate 6 months after graduation. And that's a trend that's been trending for about 3 years now. That's really wonderful, and it's above the national average of 76%. Yes, people, there are jobs in journalism and mass communications. And on a political note, I hope we all continue to support public universities through our tax dollars. We must have an educated workforce, and I hope our federal and state legislators realize the need to finance higher education as much as possible, including financial aid and reasonable interest rates on student loans. It's important, so let us know what you're thinking about that. Again, on a personal note, without scholarships and awards, as a first-generation college student, I wouldn't be standing here without benefactors who helped me get through school. So once again, thank you. It is now time to present our awards and scholarships. The first award this afternoon is a break from the tradition of this being a student ceremony, but it is appropriate as part of a celebration of student achievement. This award honors a longtime faculty member and a former student who wanted to thank him for many years of mentoring. Mark Mears, an alum, created the Tim Bankston Faculty Mentoring Award last year to recognize a faculty member who goes above and beyond in counseling students, even beyond their time at KU. This year, the award goes to Professor Doug Ward, who through his teaching, service, and mentoring of students has truly made a difference. To quote from the nomination, "Professor Ward is still mentoring me, even though I graduated 2 years ago. I visited him a couple of times since graduation seeking career advice, and he was the first person I emailed when I was offered my current position." Another student wrote, "I was told very soon after beginning classes at the University of Kansas that Professor Ward is someone to know. I sought him out early during my freshman year and asked what I could do during school to become a great journalist. He responded by inviting me to sit down, and instead of walking me through a path of classes and internships, he instead asked what I was interested in and why I wanted to be a journalist." Another quote, "It is quite difficult to put into succinct words what it is that makes Professor Doug Ward an excellent mentor, but I think that his understanding, willing to listen, and unending support for my goals and ambitions all speak to the fact that I would not be the same graduating senior if I had not wandered into his office my freshman year." And as so many simply said, thank you, Professor Ward. Doug, please join me. So Doug, on behalf of Mark, Tim, your many students, friends, and colleagues, please accept the 2014 Bankston Faculty Mentor Award. Congratulations. And in addition to that very cool building block, there's also a monetary award. So I'd now like to introduce Patty Noland, our career coordinator, who will introduce the award and scholarship recipients. Patty?
Thank you, Dean Brill. In addition to recognizing our scholarship and award recipients today, we're also recognizing another group of outstanding students. Kappa Tau Alpha is the National Honor Society in Journalism and Mass Communications. It recognizes the top 10% of graduates based on academics and character. This year, we have 21 students coming into our chapter of Kappa Tau Alpha. We will recognize them in a few minutes and distribute their honor cords at a later date, and these honor cords will be worn at graduation. And for all the students who are here today, each of you has a name card or cards in the envelope you picked up earlier. I will be asking you to come forward in groups and will then recognize each of you individually. You can find your group on the bottom of the card, right-hand corner. And at this time, I'd like to ask those who are members of Kappa Tau Alpha to come forward with your name card. Angela Rose Hawkins, a senior in strategic communications, Kappa Tau Alpha. Megan Lacey Vanette Ryan, a senior in strategic communications, Kappa Tau Alpha. Danielle Valliere, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Magdalene Lee, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Rebecca L. Miller, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Jacqueline Balgeron, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Courtney Cottage, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Haley Lapin, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Danielle St. Amand, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Paige Kaufman, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Hannah Rebecca Sitz, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Samuel Kovzan, who is a senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. Sam Logan, senior in strategic communication, Kappa Tau Alpha. And let's give a round of applause for our Kappa Tau Alpha recipients. And just a note to the Kappa Tau Alpha recipients, you will be getting your honor cord. You can stop by the advising office anytime after today to pick those up, and you'll want to wear those for graduation. Now, I'd like to ask Group A to come forward with your name card. So if you have a Group A on your card, please come forward. Kayla Shorts. The John Kadich Award goes to Kayla. Jacqueline Balajaran is the recipient of the Diane Lazzarino Award. Caitlin Dornbus is recognized for This Kansas Life. Hannah Wise is the recipient of the School of Journalism Award and is also being recognized for This Kansas Life. Jessica Casebeer is receiving the Calder Pickett Award. Hannah Swank is the recipient of the Sharon Bass Award. Lauren Armendariz is the recipient of the Christina Merrill Bradford Award. Nikki Wentling is receiving the Gerald Funk Award and is also being recognized for This Kansas Life. Johanna Havlicek is recognized for This Kansas Life. Tom DeHart is the recipient of the Walter Ewert Award. Samuel Kovzan is the recipient of the Mel Adams Award. Trevor Graff is being recognized for This Kansas Life and is also the recipient of the Mark Pittman Award. Blake Schuster is the recipient of the Gerald Funk Award. Samuel Logan is a recipient of the Strategic Communication Faculty Award. Hannah Sitz is the recipient of the Strategic Communication Faculty Award. And Matt Johnson is the recipient of the Calder Pickett Award. Let's give a round of applause for Group A. Next, I'd like to ask Group B to come forward with your name card. Vicky Diaz Camacho is the recipient of the Fred J. Salinas Family Scholarship, as well as the Mark Richard Smith Scholarship. Lindsay Havens is the recipient of the Frederick Hesser Memorial Scholarship and the Christian Yagan Scholarship. Kristen Grimmer is receiving the Major John Michael Wirtz Scholarship. Joseph Anguiano is receiving the Tanaka Miller Multicultural Journalism Scholarship. Goran Gafour is the recipient of the Robert P. Sigmund Family Scholarship. Garrett Farlow is receiving the Tanaka Miller Multicultural Journalism Scholarship. Scott Chasen is the recipient of the John P. Kaiser Scholarship. McKenna Harford will be receiving 2 scholarships, the John B. Penfold Memorial Scholarship and the Lester Suler Memorial Scholarship. Cole Annenberg will be receiving the William F. Baker Scholarship. Zach Beasley is the recipient of the Major John Michael Wirtz Scholarship. Salman Hussain is the recipient of the Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship. Allison Hammond is receiving the Sue Parcell Memorial Scholarship, the Oscar S. and Ethel Stauffer Scholarship, and the Joel Zeff Chicken Piccata Scholarship. Ren Harn is the recipient of the Elbert and Fern Severance Scholarship. Tabitha Bender will be receiving the William Allen White Foundation Scholarship. Stephanie Bickle is receiving the William W. Baker Scholarship. Kendall Alexander is receiving the Frances Elizabeth Taylor Scholarship. Caitlin Culhane is receiving the Pontius Duval Scholarship in Advertising. Devaney Fitzgerald is receiving the Bruce Linton Graduate Scholarship. Brent Burford is receiving the Wendell Sullivan Scholarship, the Joan Marie Butler Scholarship, and the Drew Anderson Inspiration Scholarship. Terry Harvey is receiving the Lester Suler Memorial Scholarship and the Lucille Bluford Scholarship in Journalism. Katie Gilbaugh is receiving the Gladys Hellsberg Memorial Scholarship and the School of Journalism Scholarship. Julie Etzler is receiving the Bill Fromm Scholarship. Michael Garrett is the recipient of the Max C. Page Memorial Scholarship. Kendall Blakeman is the recipient of the Hearst Foundation Scholarship. Callie Burns is the recipient of the William W. Baker Scholarship. Riley Bicknell is receiving the Frederick Hesser Memorial Scholarship. Anissa Fritz is receiving the Jan M. Guth Memorial Scholarship, as well as the Ruth Hunt Scholarship. Michaela David is receiving the Byron and Eulalia T. Guys Scholarship. Tara Bryant is receiving the Howard Turtle Scholarship. Ashley Booker is receiving the Emil L. Telfel Scholarship. Jamie Bouchard is the recipient of the Basil T. Church Scholarship. Madeline Dickerson is receiving the Theodore C. Alford Scholarship. Colleen Fox will be getting the Rolla Clymer Scholarship. Jill Bainbridge is the recipient of the Barb Roshevitz and Gerald Seib Student Opportunity Fund Scholarship. Jessica Gomez is receiving the Max C. Page Memorial Scholarship, as well as the Lester Suler Memorial Scholarship. Kelsey Barrett Kelsey Barrett is the recipient of the Dolph Simons Senior Scholarship. Timothy Dodderidge is receiving the Suzanne Shaw Scholarship. Amy Fulmer will be getting the Lorimer Armstrong Family Scholarship. Margaret Hare is the recipient of the Bruce Linton Graduate Scholarship. Chris Bacon will be receiving the Robert P. Sigmund Family Scholarship. Let's have another round of applause for Group 2. Group B. Finally, I'd like to ask Group C to come forward with your name cards. Dannon Taylor is the recipient of the John P. Kaiser Scholarship. Juan Pablo Muraquin is the recipient of the Tanaka Miller Multicultural Scholarship. Eric Pauls will be receiving the Cynthia Bragan Crouch Broadcast Scholarship as well as the Puckett Family Scholarship. Stella Liang is a Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship recipient. Christina Ostmeyer will be receiving the Oscar S. and Ethel Stauffer Scholarship. Kelsey Weaver will be receiving a School of Journalism Scholarship. Kayla Suarez is getting the Angelo C. Scott Memorial Scholarship and the Adelaide Dick Imus Scholarship in Journalism. Kaylee Taylor will be receiving the Tom Hedrick Scholarship. Jenny Weisbeck is the recipient of the Fred Ellsworth Memorial Scholarship. Monique Robinson will be receiving the Educational Opportunity Fund Scholarship. Marquisha Wright will be receiving the Dorothy H. Johnson Memorial Scholarship in Journalism. Tessa Miller is receiving the Lucille Bluford Scholarship in Journalism, the Bertha Shore Scholarship, Frank and Vera Thayer Scholarship, as well as the David H. Anderson Memorial Scholarship. Bea Tretbar is receiving the Oscar S. and Ethel Stauffer Scholarship and the David H. Anderson Memorial Scholarship. Alexandra Maluski will be receiving the Oscar S. and Ethel Stauffer Scholarship. Allison Kite is receiving the Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship. Heather Nelson is the recipient of the Robert H. Longstaff Journalism Scholarship. Haley Mead is receiving the John Madden Scholarship and the Howard S. Bressler Scholarship. Molly Norberg is the recipient of the Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship. Duncan Marshall is the recipient of the Fraser Leach Scholarship. Paul Pierce II is the recipient of the Tanaka Miller Multicultural Journalism Scholarship. Will Weber is receiving the Clark Keys Memorial Scholarship, the Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship, and the Oscar S. and Ethel Stauffer Scholarship. Katie Kutzko will be receiving the Mabel McLaughlin Beck Scholarship, the Clyde and Betty Reed Scholarship, and the Rick Musser Multimedia Scholarship. Hannah Pirangelo will be receiving the Thomas J. McGrath Scholarship in Journalism. Catherine Schneider is the recipient of the Florence Finch Kelly Memorial Scholarship. Paige Stingley is the recipient of the Ola Canfield Shade Scholarship. Cassidy Ritter will be receiving the Lester Suler Memorial Scholarship, the Jerry W. Knutson Journalism Scholarship, and the Linda Lee Study Abroad Scholarship. Sierra Upton is the recipient of the Sue Parcell Memorial Scholarship. Melissa Young will be receiving the Emil L. Telfel Scholarship. Jordan McEntee is the recipient of the Kathleen Donnelly Plimpton Scholarship. Maria Sanchez will be receiving the Tanaka Miller Multicultural Journalism Scholarship. Morgan Saeed will be receiving the Howard Turtle Scholarship. Natalie Parker is the recipient of the John Lee Cassidy Scholarship. Danny Jones will be receiving the Dolores A. Newell Scholarship. Jasmine Polk is the recipient of the Latina Sullivan Memorial Scholarship and the Lester Suler Memorial Scholarship. Joss Kurilak is the recipient of the Roger N. Wooldridge Memorial Scholarship. Let's have a round of applause for our Group C and all of our recipients.
Thank you, Patty. Did I mention this is my favorite event of the year? Congratulations. Congratulations again to all the recipients, donors. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for attending today. I'd like to ask you to do one more thing, which is get up, mingle, and enjoy the refreshments that are in the back of the room. So thanks again for coming, and bon appetit.